on the last little bit, and I freaking love it. And you know, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it now. Doc tested, Doc recommended, Doc approved. I'll write you a prescription. Right now, coming to you all the way from the city of brotherly love, the Philadelphia. Give it up to Mr. Alex Gizis.
Hey, thank you for having me, Doc.
Alex, man, this is so cool. Okay, I just need to know one thing off the top of the bat. What exactly were you drinking when you go, hey, I got an idea? Because this is way cool.
Yeah, we've been messing around with this stuff for years, and I'll be honest, if we had any idea how hard this is, we wouldn't have done it, right? I mean, we thought it was this little thing we'd build to combine internet connections. And, you know, it turns out there's a reason nobody's done this before. It is really hard. Different internet connections are totally different speeds, different latencies, you know. But, you know, we ground it out.
That is super funny. That is super funny. It is literally one of the coolest things I've seen. And I tell this story to people. There are very few apps that come out where I actually go, whoa, because I'm jaded from being an old tech writer. I mean, when I was writing for an unofficial Apple weblog, 150, 200 emails a day, like, yo, man, you got to check out my app. I'm like, yeah, your app is a copy of the 3 other apps that emailed me yesterday. I don't want to see it, you know, but we had to test so many things. So I became a little bit, I guess jaded is the good word, or wanting to be, you know, I want the app to be more impressive. I think about the guys on Shark Tank. I started to love that show because that's how we felt when we would be looking at apps that we get to write about or pick whatever. So when I see your app, I was like, fam, this is amazing, absolutely amazing. So how is it different from, say, a VPN?
Okay. So at its core, it is a VPN, right? But every other VPN in the world, so VPN is a virtual private network. Just make sure people know, right? So
Yes.
you run this app.
Thank you, saved me, because I would get yelled at for that.
Yeah, you run it on your phone, on your computer, and it makes this fake internet connection that all your apps use. And it grabs your data and encrypts it and sends it to a server on the internet that unencrypts it and then puts it out on the internet. And when you download stuff, it comes the other direction. So everything's encrypted in this tunnel, as we call it. So nobody can spy on your traffic. They can't see what you're doing. But most VPNs make one connection back to that VPN server. And that ends out slowing you down, right? If you're doing 10 downloads at the same time, they all have to go over this single TCP stream. And it's less reliable. If anything interrupts that connection, everything you're doing stops, right? So what we do is we create multiple connections back to the server on every one of your internet connections at the same time. So now that we're connecting, you know, on your Wi-Fi, on your LTE, on your Ethernet, if you have them, all at the same time, every time you send a packet, we can say, what's the best internet connection to send this packet on?
Oh, that's genius. Okay, gang, I'm going to
Right.
do something real quick. I think I can
So
kind
now
of
we
show
can
the
do cool
folks what
things.
you're
If we
saying.
want to go faster, we can put some of the data on the Wi-Fi and some, you know, on the LTE, and it all goes in parallel. If we're really worried about reliability, we can actually send it on both at once and just deliver whichever one gets through first. So that's when, you know, even if you totally disconnect, or you're at the edge of range or Wi-Fi and packets are dropping, it still just gets through with us.
All right, guys, I'm going to cover up my face
There
for
we
you
go.
because you don't need to see this. But this is an idea. Okay, so this top one is my 10 gigabyte per section. I can't speak English. My 10 GBE connector on my iMac, because my iMac, I paid extra to get the faster connection. The second connection is actually the connection on the Thunderbolt dock, right? And the bottom connection is my Wi-Fi. In theory, because I actually have, I didn't even think about this, I actually have an external 10, whoa, that was dumb, Doc. Okay, put this back. Make sure you close the right one. I have an external 10 GBE adapter in theory, I could put that sucker on and probably make it work too.
Yep.
That's kind of crazy. And so this is where my jaw dropped. Okay, so right now that's taking in a machine like this, because I have so many connections and the machine's fast enough. I currently right now have 2 Ethernet connections and 1 Wi-Fi. If I were to take the Thunderbolt cable and connect my other 10 GBE and connected it to the router, I would end up with 3. Mm-hmm. But I can actually take a connection from Spectrum and then bring in another connection from Hawaiian Tel and stick those together too. Correct?
You sure can.
That was the part when I'm still processing it because it's crazy. But that is the
software. The software supports up to 31 internet connections. I don't know of anyone ever going above 12.
Wait, who did 12? I want to meet that person. We did. Friends.
We did.
Oh, you guys did.
We built a crazy rig, but I think some customers didn't believe us and tried it. And holy cow, right?
Good.
I mean, that gets you start running out of space and ports and like desk room, and if you put that many cell phones that close to each other, they start interfering with each other. So, I think there are a lot of people really, really using 3 or 4 connections. After that, it's
hey Ryan, we got to say hi to Ryan, because Ryan's basically do what I do, but for Alex, he does for Alex what I do for Katie and Glenn and Ken, and it's funny because he's helping to restream this on their side as well, which is kind of cool. We're creating Inception stream, and I like it. It's kind of cool. Oh my goodness, IAG. I didn't know you were going to be here, sir. I was going to wear your shirt. And then I was like, oh, no, Katie probably wants me to wear the Ecamm shirt. But I had actually taken your shirt out and ironed it and everything. So, hi.
So Ryan just texted me to remind me that he actually took an iPhone, connected a USB hub to it, and then connected 14 devices so that his iPhone literally had 16 internet connections. And it worked.
Oh, okay.
Ryan, I think there's a video of that on YouTube somewhere, and it actually worked.
Goodness.
So, all right. So Ryan probably holds the record.
So on my iPhone, I have 2 SIMs, right? Could you make both those data connections work at the same time?
No. Oh. So the sad thing on the iPhone, it has 2 SIMs, but it only actually has 1 LTE radio. So it's really only using 1 at a time.
But you could use the one that's built in and then the pocket Wi-Fi.
Yes. Yes, the Wi-Fi can join that. And I got one here. What am I doing? The USB port on the Lightning port on the bottom, if you buy what they call the camera kit.
I have.
That gives you an Ethernet port off it, and a USB port off it. And then you can plug in other things, including actually tethering an Android phone, running Android 11 or later. So it's possible to get up to 3 internet connections on your iPhone.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Family, you guys know the rules. You got to format your questions with a Q, because I won't be able to find them, because there's a lot of questions in here that's going like 100 miles an hour. And I only saw Ryan's avatar and Ian's avatar because they're smiling. The rest of you guys are pictures. It makes it harder to find the question. But let me see if I can look in here. Costman wanted to know my camera. It's a Sony A6400. It's, and the rest of it, I'm just naturally cute. I'm joking. Wait, I had a good question somebody asked. Oh, here we go. It was Ian. IAG, you of all people, Mr. Podcast Pro, know how to ask questions on the streams. Dang it. He says, but will it work with a gigabit connection? I get around 800 megabits per second down and 50 up. It says, I think Speedify only goes to a certain speed. Are you bragging? We don't have that connections over here, Mr. UK.
So we don't have a firm limit, but we do have a finite number of servers. So you can get hundreds of megabits with Speedify. You can get a dedicated server if you're really serious. So for like $100 a month, $900 a year, You will set aside a gig or a gig and a half server just for you. So if your internet connections are that fast, you actually can get that kind of speed, but you have to pay the premium server.
Katie, I'm going to expense that. Actually, my connection's not that fast yet because I'm in a condo, and so I can't bring in the other company, which I would love to. I've been wanting to do that for like a year and a half now, and I was going to try to just bond it myself with Unify, but there's going to be a heck of a lot of SSH typing, which I didn't really want to do. Okay, so Time Masquerade says, will this app help a fiber optic connection on Ecamm? Well, the fiber optic connection Ecamm really have nothing to do with it. The fiber optic connection is just another internet connection. So your internet connection is your internet connection. The one thing that it will help you with is if you have, like we said, multiple things in the machine, it will help you stop them from dropping. And also, if you have a backup connection like your phone and you want to have that turned on just in case, it will help do that, right? Did I cover that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whether it's fiber or Ethernet or copper, that kind of doesn't matter.
So Speedify has a bunch of cool tricks if it detects that the internet's going bad. Sending packets twice and things to recover from loss before your apps get messed up. But that's mostly, fiber optic shouldn't have any problems like that. But, if you're wandering around on a Wi-Fi network, some of those bad spots, Speedify can kind of smooth out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So yes, Ian, basically that covers your question as well. It would allow you to take your 4G and bond it together. That's what I did upstairs earlier. So we don't have true gig fiber, but we have like 500 by 100. And I was taking that and I was maxing it with my phone. And in my neighborhood, my phone does about 170-ish and about 50 up. And it was putting the two together. And I was like looking at my computer. And this is on my brand new purple iMac. I was looking at okay, gang, something I just thought of. On the M1 iMac and the M1 Mac Mini, for some reason, the internet does weird things on it yet, right? I think Monterey will smooth a lot of it out, but it does have some weird inconsistencies. This will save your bacon because it's already going to have a little bit of redundancy built in to the way that it works. So if you're on the M1, it might be the look anyway, just because it definitely popped up today. I was doing something goofy, and I told Alex in the run-up before the show, I got a notification on my Mac, and it was like, Speedify just saved your stream. And I was like, what? So I was reading it, and I was like, oh. So yeah, something weird happened with my connection, and it didn't disconnect, and we were streaming this morning. So
a cool thing about Speedify, somebody asked, and went by quickly, a question about combining fiber with 4G. One thing about Speedify is it's cost aware. So by default, it assumes cellular connections are more expensive, and that's probably what you want here, right? So go ahead and tell it just use the fiber, and set so make fiber primary, and then make whatever's connected to that 4G make it secondary.
correct.
So it'll always try to use the fiber first, and if that's not fast enough or it doesn't work, then it'll fail over. Because the truth is, when it comes to streaming, 25 megabits is fast enough.
Oh,
right.
True. Yes.
You can do 4K. Yeah, you are doing 4K at something like 25 megabits. And so bonding all these for speed isn't necessarily what you want, right? In a lot of cases, you want the backup, right?
I like the safety.
Sure you don't go offline.
Yeah, I like the safety more important than the speed part. The speed part is good if you have a place with really bad connection. But yes, Roland, you're correct. That was the first thing I said when I was talking. I was back in the day when I had Trailblazer modem, okay? See, him and Ryan are too young for that, but we know, as OGs, we had Hayes Trailblazer modems, and I would have 4 in a machine in order to make my BBSing faster because I was a weirdo. So yes, this has been around for a while. It was very enterprise and much, much harder to do, but there has been complete absence in the consumer space for quite a while. Netgear for a little bit of time in about 0405 sold a box. It was a blue VPN box from Netgear where you could put into, and it never worked. It was the biggest piece of crap. And as a tech guy that had to support that mess, I used to just want to. I'd never liked Netgear since because of that one box. It was
So
like
there was
$700 box.
bonding in the 90s that worked and never since. And the
that's
reason
the answer.
it worked, and the reason that happened was that back then, people were bonding modems, and they were all the same speed, right? If you have 4 internet connections that are exactly the same speed, it's not very hard to bond them. And so that was what happened there. But your Wi-Fi and your LTE and the DSL, they're all totally different speeds. And if you do something simple to try to combine them, you'll end out with 3 times the speed of the slowest internet connection, which might be slower than the fastest one. So, there are a lot of naive solutions that actually make things worse.
I did like that thing that you said a minute ago about the sort of pay priority, right? So when I was setting up my phone, I did the USB tether style. And by default, it was like trying to make sure it wasn't going to waste my bandwidth. It was like I will only connect to the phone when I need it. I had to physically go in there and manually turn that off and be like, no, go ahead and have at it, because I have AT&T Blue that can just, I don't have caps and things like that. So I was able to force it. But it's smart that, like you said, and this to Chris's point, Chris, he said if I had 4 mobiles in the field with different networks, would I be able to connect all 4 to bond them? And what's cool is you could actually say which network costs more. So if O2 costs more than, say, I forgot the other British one, Orange, you can specify which is which, right?
So tethering 4 phones to like a Mac, that works, right? Mac, you're gonna run out of ports, so you probably need a USB hub, and you can hang like 4 phones off it, and it can recognize all of them and bond them together. You can have a phone join the hotspot of another phone, and with the right set of cables, you can, get a 3rd phone hanging off the USB. As Ryan pointed out, you can actually hang off a USB hub, but now you're not very mobile, right? You've built this monstrosity of cables. So very easy to have one phone join another phone to get the 2 LTEs usually. 4 starts getting complicated.
James was going the wrong direction. James said he was dropping comments on the Speedify channel. That's okay. Ryan's watching over there too. So Ryan would have not left you hanging. That's funny. He said, so multiple ISP VPN connections and then bonded into a correct sequence at the server. How much latency is added? Thank you for using the right words, Jim.
Almost none. If you've picked a server that's on the route you would use, if that makes sense. So our software is really, really fast, right? It uses hardware encryption, hardware decryption. We make sure we have enough servers that they're basically never busy. So it's less than 1 millisecond we add. And that's assuming you connect to the closest server, and we have servers all over the world. That should be about what you see. Maybe 2 or 3 because the server's a little bit out of the way. I mean, you can artificially do, like once upon a time, Twitch only allowed connections in from their Seattle server. Now they have more locations. And so at one point we had a guy in support who was in Chicago, and he connected to a Speedify server in New York, and then he did Twitch. And in that case, we tripled his latency because he went from Chicago to New York, and then to get to Seattle, it went past Chicago and back out to Seattle. So we tripled it. He was actually crossing the United States 3 times on every packet. And so he saw terrible latency numbers, and we finally told him why you connect to the Seattle server, and voila, everything was magic.
See, that's smart. That's it. And then, guys, even for like restreaming, when you go in the back end, it can have you select which server. When I had it auto-selecting, because in Hawaii I'm floating in the ocean, sometimes it would pick San Jose, sometimes it would pick Japan or Korea. So it would like do this weird thing. I ended up just forcing it to one because occasionally it would pick the wrong one. I think they fixed that since, but this is kind of cool how you select it. And Speedify did give me the option to select servers. I said, hey, hack at it, take your best. And I thought like Ryan's like looking, and he says, "Oh, here's Doc. Let me put him on a good one." That's what I assumed. I'm joking. Daniel, this is the part that blew my mind, fam. This morning, I didn't even notice anything, and no one in the comments said anything. So that means the failover must have been seamless.
We do something kind of cool. So every time we send a packet on an internet connection, we actually keep it in a buffer until we know it's delivered. So when an internet connection suddenly gets cut, we have a bunch of packets that we know we just sent and we don't know if they got through. So we'll move them over to the other internet connection and send them again over there. So you should lose so of course that could turn into a little jitter, tiny bit of latency for a few moments, but no lost packets, right? We just kind of clean it up, we detect the problem, we send the packets that we don't know whether or not they got through again on the working internet connection, and it should be seamless. You use the same IP address across the whole thing.
That's the other part that's very cool, because that would get crazy having to switch on the fly. Chris, are you ready for this?
Right, that would break everything.
I'm glad somebody finally asked. I was going to save it to the end, but since you asked, this is the part that also hurts, because I kind of think, don't tell the CEO that they should raise the price, but they should raise the price. It's actually cheap. If you buy the 3-year plan, you're coming in at $5 a month. That's like £3 for you, $2.75 or something like that. It's super cheap for your UK type people. Here, let me zoom that in so you can see. It is super cheap. It's kind of amazing.
$90 a year.
Oh, I didn't even think about that part. It's $90 a year. You heard the man. It's really cool.
That's the yearly plan you can save, right? I think the 3 years is just the price of 2, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
And
you made the website.
That's a very nice, handsome guy. Man, you guys got it together. Like, this is so quite incredible, and that part is super mind-blowing. Okay, IAG, he says, do you have servers around the world like in the UC, or is that, some special, or is that the same dedicated service? Same service.
We have servers all over the world, particularly anywhere in the northern hemisphere, basically. Right. So yeah, we have servers in London and Paris and Madrid. Japan. I think South Korea. So yeah, we have a pretty good spread all over the world.
Oh my goodness! You just made me think of something. So when I go to Japan, my typical maneuver is to get what's known as a pocket Wi-Fi. Okay, it's a little box. It's a little bit bigger than, say, like 2 of these, SanDisk, but not much. It's I call it like a deck of cards. That thing, on average, for the basic plan, you'll get 175 by 50, and pretty much everywhere in the country. Well, since I got the new phone back, I guess on iPhone 10, we had dual SIM sockets. Almost broke that. So what I do when I get this from Apple, I have them push my AT&T to the eSIM. That is the one that's hard coded in the phone. That leaves the pocket open, right? When I land at the airport in Japan, Korea, China, wherever, I go directly to a convenience store and you pick up a SIM card. So that SIM card will also give me similar speeds, right? Because I buy the premium SIM card. So that, let's just say they're identical. That's like 175 by 50. I could take that plus the pocket Wi-Fi. This is for you, Carmen. I could stick those two together, and then if I wanted to live stream while I'm flying my drone or something out in the middle of the mountains in Japan, I would have a wicked fast connection, and it's pretty quite amazing. So that also would help when I'm uploading, say, in a hotel. You guys know when you travel, your hotel Wi-Fi is notoriously kind of whack, right? But what a lot of people don't notice, because they sort of hide it nowadays, the phone will have the Ethernet jack port. Sometimes there's a desk where there's an Ethernet cable. So if you have your travel dock, like the OWC that I always put you guys on, you'd plug that in, connect it to your computer, have that as one connection, and then have your phone or your pocket Wi-Fi as another connection, and you can bind it that way. So
right. Yeah. So another thing I use Speedify for when traveling a lot of times, if I'm not live streaming, you can actually go into the cellular connection and rate limited, you can use Speedify to slow down your internet.
That's
right? So, I've got AT&T and I'll pay for, whatever it is, the 10 gigs for my trip internationally, and I don't want to run out. So if I'm not in the middle of doing something live with video, I'll set my LTE to be stuck at 2 megabits so that I don't accidentally use up my data.
That's smart.
We don't really brag about how you can use the software to slow your internet.
No, but that's smart because when you're traveling, sometimes
you'll
get a bundle. I'll say you get like 10 gigs for your whole trip. You're not buying an unlimited plan because that's the way a lot of times these portables work. So you don't want to be at the cafe and just having a drink with your homies or something, and all of a sudden it goes, I don't know, let's iCloud sync all of this, or let's Dropbox sync all the photos that they took on vacation. Because what do you do on vacation? Take a lot of photos. And if you don't remember to go into iCloud and say only upload these when I smell a Wi-Fi connection, it will run your travel plan out in the first day. Have completely done
you can also put a daily limit on, which I also do when traveling. I'll say, don't let stop me if I've used more than 300 megabits, and and it warns you, right? You use the 300 megabits for the day. Do you want me to continue or not? So yeah, you can definitely use Speedify to slow down and control your cellular usage if you want, but that's kind of hidden in the menus. That's not the main thing we're bragging about here.
Jim says, must this be installed on each device? So it cannot be shared by several devices in the same house.
So it must be installed on the device with the multiple internet connections. You can do things like, install it on, some kind of little router. Here's a Raspberry Pi that I sometimes use. And so you could run Speedify on this, plug the internet connections into this, and then have it make a Wi-Fi hotspot. We also have our ConnectFi hotspot app that runs on a Windows PC, not a Mac, unfortunately, and turns it into a Wi-Fi router, so you could run Speedify, plug a whole bunch of internet connections into it, and then make a hotspot that when your other devices join, they're using all of those internet connections.
Katie said the pricing is insanely cheap, and then she said, "Shh, don't tell Alex."
Yeah.
I appreciate companies that come up with that and understand it, because what a lot of people would do, like, oh, this is something everybody's going to use, let's just make it expensive and then go after just the enterprise guys. But they actually have better chance of having somebody in-house that has load balancing and all the various things sort of built in. So this is actually better for consumers. But in the past, I would say, my doc opinion, the old consumer way, it was super hard to do. And even as a nerd who kind of understood what he was doing, I had a hard time making it work. It was crazy. Yeah.
I have a funny story, and I won't name names. But the Sochi World Cup,
yes,
a major news agency went to Russia and discovered none of their stuff worked. They could not stream video back home. Oh. And they checked with the Russian government. The Russian government's like, well, our firewall thinks your app looks like WhatsApp, and we've banned WhatsApp. And so they said, what can we do to fix this? And they said, nothing. So this news agency contacted us, bought 31 monthly licenses to Speedify, did the World Cup, saved the day. With Speedify, they were able to get all the video through that you saw on TV, and then they canceled the plan. We made a total of $270 saving the World Cup.
That's funny. You definitely should have sent them a higher
I was like,
bill.
couldn't you at least keep the plans in case something comes up? And they're like, no, you made it too easy. If we need it again, we'll just put in the credit card.
They could at least throw you an ad or something, bro. Like, this World Cup has been sponsored by Speedify. Oh, that's funny. Jim, I feel you, right? Jim says, hey, when are we going to install these servers in Hawaii? I got you, Jim. So, yes, it's funny. So, I guess I might. Hopefully, I covered it. Time Masquerade. Let me know if this is making any sense, because you did ask for real world examples, but you know how the chat goes. I believe we covered that already. And then, so here's a good question from Ivete Productions about the security. You guys have security on it too, because it's still a VPN, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, so it is very secure. It is secured with DTLS 1.2 is the security standard we use. It is basically it's TLS, SSL, right? The same security that supports your Gmail session. Yes. And we are in fact using the encryption library out of Google Chrome. It's called Boring SSL, right? Google open sourced their encryption library. We just take it. So there's nothing home rolled here, right? I mean, Google gives away prizes. If anyone finds, a hole in their security, they pay out a cash prize and fix it in the library, and we take the new version of the library. So we are, aggressive followers on security, taking Google's best stuff and using it. So it is secure.
That's so explanatory live. That the new Netgear mobile thing, that was one of my first questions for them. And so yeah, if you have the Nighthawk mobile or whatever, it should work. I'm assuming that's what you're speaking of. Time Masquerade. Okay, so in all supposition, location is semi-irrelevant as long as the location has signal. So if you're going to Beattigo Creek, Missouri, and they have T-Mobile, and you also have Spectrum, Cox, whomever, Missouri Cable, you can stick those two together. Like in the U.S. especially, location is semi-irrelevant. As long as you have connections, you should be gravy. Let's see. I like the RPI idea. Would love to make a hardwired Ethernet network using Speedify. I just got to figure out how to get a another connection in. Because, yeah, Daniel, I like that. And like somebody said, it'd be really cool. And I think I mentioned this to you, right? Go become really good friends with your neighbors, and you guys Speedify your two houses together. So that way when your kids are streaming or you're streaming, it's better. That makes sense. I love saving the World Cup. That's dope. It is kind of funny because you don't think about it, but yeah, man, I have completely been to the situation where I'm like in China and you get that Great Firewall, as they used to call it, and you're just like, man, I can't go nowhere. But you had to remember to set it all up before you get there. If you set it up before you get there, you're fine. Trying to set it up there, it's not going to happen. It's just one of those things. It's super fun. And yeah, Daniel, blame Yeti. This is why Doc hates Yetis.
What's wrong?
No, they can hear a slight echo, but it's the Yeti. Don't worry about it. We won't worry about it because this is way cooler than that little tiny little bit of echo that they might hear. But yeah, it's just Yetis. I have a deep, passionate hate for Yetis. Sorry. Sounds like you could use this in opposed to LTE bonding backpacks like LiveU and Mushroom networks. That's a good question because that is something that you see a lot here because, we have outdoor sports and that. You see those backpacks roaming around everywhere.
Yeah, so there are definitely people who have rolled their own backpacks with, things like the Raspberry Pi, running Speedify, and plug in a bunch of internet connections here, and it's, a LiveU. Those are nice pieces of hardware, but they're, $3,000 a year, right? It's $1,500 to buy it.
Extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. Oh, you know what? So you made me think of something when you were talking about the DTLS. Okay, so I guess before I do that, I don't want to mess up my train of thought. You do have a family plan and teams plans on here. Like, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so family plan is very simple. It's 5 users for the price of 1.5.
What?
Yeah. So if you buy it and you like it and you want the rest of the people on your family in, it's the same deal as Spotify, right? We saw Spotify offered 5 users for the price of 1.5, so we did the same thing. We multiplied our prices up 50% and did it.
So cool. Oh, see, Carmen, I got you. See, Carmen just said, I always tease Carmen because my sister's name is Carmen. I call her Carmelita, so then I call this Carmelita too. And then she goes, I was just looking at the family plan. See, you'll be such a good grandma with that, hooking up the family.
So the Teams one is a little bit more enterprisey. You can add as many users as you want. The dedicated servers are an option when you have a Teams plan. You can add servers, And you can get a little bit of reporting on like which users are actually using it and stuff. I think as time goes on, we're gonna start having some cooler enterprisey features landing there. Stuff like log in with your Gmail account, right?
Yeah, the SSO thing.
Yeah, the SSO thing, single sign on.
Dude, this is cool. So, Ian, I want to make sure that I hook you guys up because I think this would be a good conversation for your pod. Ian has a fantastic show. He talks to podcasters, and this comes up a lot with podcasters because when I was doing British Tech Network, we did our podcast for like 12 years solid. It would always be perfectly fine in the run up, and we run up early. Like we run up like a half an hour because we're double checking, last minute news and making sure everything was all good, especially for like the Apple keynote events, right? And as soon as we go live, we're about 5 minutes in, and somebody starts siloning or having weird connections. So I think for him and his podcast clientele, you guys would be a good fit. So, Ian, I will make sure that you get to talk to Alex and Ryan so that they can come in. You can share it with your podcaster people because this is definitely could save bacons. Certain times you get a guest and you have a problem, you're like, oh, well, we'll just reschedule and try to do it again. But podcast interviews are organic nature. So you get a guest on a good day and they're just on the roll. You can't re-record that stuff, people. It's impossible. It just doesn't come out. Like you ask your granddad the same story a week apart and see one of them will be like grumpy answer and one of them would be like, son, pull up a chair, let's go in. I'm gonna tell you all the secrets. So yeah, it's one of those things. Okay.
So I see Danny Greer on Facebook is asking how we're going to improve this.
Right, that's a good question.
Sure. I'll tell you what we're doing right now. We're doing two things. One, we're adding what we right now are calling the pre-flight test, where it does a sort of speed test to try to see how much you can upload, and comes back and says this internet connection is good enough for 1080p or 4K, or you have a problem, don't live stream before you get closer to a router or something. So there's that, and then we're putting in a lot more watching and stats while you're running a live stream. And part of this came from me. I was trying to make a video about how much we help Zoom. Because Zoom, with 2 internet connections, it's so much more reliable. It is great. And so Ryan and I did some test calls, and it was fantastic, right? I was pulling cables, and the video wasn't glitching, and it was great. So I fired up OBS to record it. And then we started recording another call, and it was terrible. It was terrible. Low frame rate, bad video, and I'm getting all mad. What's wrong with Speedify? It's not saving my bacon. And it took a while looking around to realize that, in fact, I was running out of GPU. Oh. My computer wasn't powerful enough to run Zoom and OBS. And Speedify is, using 1% in the corner. It wasn't even part of the equation, right? My computer just didn't have enough horsepower to run both those apps at the same time. I was on Windows. Sorry, otherwise I would have used Ecamm.
I was going to say, I was going to.
I was on a Windows box. I was stuck. I was stuck. And it was a disaster, right? So right back to Ecamm on the Mac. I'm not a fool, right? Yes. And so it will now watch your CPU and your memory, and so if it sees the stream going wrong, it'll tell you, can you close some tabs? Your internet's gotten slower and your stream's not keeping up. Can you move closer to the router? So we're putting a lot more of those hints in there, and it should be a lot better.
So I like that, and I was going to tell you so much. Like, oh my God, we would have had you squared away because we use little GPU. So here's something cool, gang. I'm looking at the stream, and hopefully this shows out really well. From the time we started, which was me goofing off earlier, I was already doing it live to test the restream pull with Ryan a little bit, but I just got a thing, and it said that it saved the connection from disruption, and it saved from excessive latency due to packet loss 6 times since we started the stream today. right? And the timing is purely accurate too, because I'm looking at what it says in Ecamm for how long you've been live. You know, our little red box, and it's just, this is amazing. And you guys probably didn't notice anything because it's coming in here and it's saving. So I like the fact that you can see the real-time statistics. The other thing, guys, I'm going to show you something that those of you who use your Ecamm and you have bandwidth statistics open, which I tend to open because, well, I'm a weirdo. Uh-oh, we just killed Alex. But let me show you something real quick, guys. I'm going to go here and go into demo mode. So this is my bandwidth statistics thing. I'm running Speedify in the background, and you'll notice that this line is basically straight. Normally when you're streaming, it will have jumps up, jumps down, jumps up, jumps down. And in this particular case, it is perfectly straight, which is somewhat of a rarity for whenever you're streaming. This tells me that Speedify is actually smoothing out the connection as directed. That is the part to me which is quite incredible. And let me go back to this. I didn't mean to do that on this tab. No, because otherwise I'm covering up Alex's face. So we don't want to, contrary to what Ryan might say about him, we won't do that. So I'll pop back out of demo mode, but I just wanted to show you guys in here. Normally when you watch this, it's never that even. Normally it has peaks and valleys with your connection because, well, spectrum, right? Those of you guys who have Cox or something else might not have the same problem, but yes, right? It is never. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel knows what I'm talking about because nerds press that button. If you guys are unfamiliar, under the Windows tab, if you drop down, the first choice is bandwidth statistics, and that will show you what's happening when you're live. It doesn't work when you're not live, of course, but it is normally never that smooth. That's incredible. Okay, so here we go. Ian, I am using, I showed this a little bit earlier, but you may have not been here. I have my Spectrum connection coming in. It's basically 500 by 50, but on my iMac, I have the built-in 10 GBE because, you know, when we were talking iMacs, I said always up that, right? Then I have my OWC Thunderbolt dock also connected to an Ethernet cable, always has been for a just in case, and that is still connected to the Spectrum. And then I have the built-in Wi-Fi. So what I'm doing is a little bit weird. They are theoretically using the same outbound connection, but by spreading it across all three internet lanes, if you will, that's what's making it smooth. If I were upstairs and not in the dungeon in the basement of my condo, I would connect this as a failover. But this has zero signal in the basement. And I threw the microcell away because it was irritating. It would work and then not work. But yes, quite amazing. See, come on, Keely. Come on, Keely. You like that? Thank you. Thank you.
He's the expert, right?
That's why I'm trying to teach you guys. You know why, Alex? Because we try to teach, you know, in my class, I try to teach people like streaming stuff always goes wrong. So don't panic, don't freak out. And half the time, if you do it smoothly, the audience don't really notice or pay any attention. We happen to be in demo mode so they could see you dial back in. But if I wasn't in demo mode, no one would ever know that Ryan tripped over the cord while we were doing this. So this is the standard. Well, I have the Spectrum's highest plan, Carmen, but not the business plan. It's the Spectrum highest residential plan. And it's like, oh yeah, Alex is my homie because of Twit. Have you been on Office Hours with Alex Lindsay before, Alex?
No.
Gizis? All right, yeah. I'll introduce you.
No, I haven't.
Hey,
all right.
Yeah, because I co-host with Alex on Twit from time to time, so I can make sure that happens. Because he does a lot with education streaming and, you know, trying to make sure that people have their stuff together for doing events and things like that. So, yeah, I'm telling you guys, after we, Ecamm family, all go tell the whole world about how dope this is, then they will get even more popular. But then, wait, is he going to raise the price on this, though? Don't tell anybody. No, of course, tell everybody you can, people, because you will be saving someone's life. There's somebody right now who missed the masterclass today because, I don't know, they wanted to watch reruns from the Olympics on Peacock, but this will save shows. This will save church. Like, this is amazing. Weddings, every wedding should be on Speedify, period. Because nothing sucks than to be on a virtual wedding and right before they move the thing back, what do you call it, the veil, and the connection gone. And it's like, Yeah. No, Daniel, we're going to raise the price to $1 million. I'm teasing. This is really cool.
My
really
impression, cool. Daniel, is that if I raise the price on existing customers, I have to ask them if that's okay. And I am so terrified of someone saying, never mind, that it's not guaranteed, but I'm much more likely to just raise the price on new users than risk losing you when I ask you if you're okay with the price increase. So,
oh my goodness! Every time we have a
almost
sale
a guarantee
for like new users, it creates such a kerfuffle because people get mad that they missed the sale, and I'm like, but that's just crazy. I missed the sale on these Adidas that I got on. I had to buy them because I missed the sale. It just happens. You missed the sale. You missed the sale. Why do people get so bent out of shape? You're a good CEO. See, Daniel, you're trying to make him be Canadian like you and just be nice. I want him to be mean like us because he's from Philly, and if we were a sports team, he'd be yelling at me.
Yeah. Don't bring up Simmons, Earl.
Oh, God. Not Simmons.
Yeah,
I had so much promise for that guy. But yeah, anyway, that's funny. Ryan's laughing because I blamed him for tripping over the cable. Man, Alex, this has been so cool. And I told you, I told you from the other day, our community will love you because we're secretly all terrified that, the whole internet will go completely in a stream. I'm probably like 300-400 streams deep, and I had it happen once, and it was the strangest feeling. Like everything just went doo, and I found out later somebody hit a pole like about 4 blocks away with a van, and it took out like the whole half of the island because it was like right at the 1 CO, and it caused the other nodes to fail because they couldn't switch quick enough. We were talking about like load balancing, and it was the strangest thing because I'm mid-sentence and I got an interview going, and the whole thing just ate it. So this is cool because you can definitely be helping folks save their lives. I guess one last question I have, if I know that maybe I'm not in streaming mode and I just want to pay some bills, it's still the VPN, right? Is there a switch to like security mode, or is it just automatic?
It's always secure. The streaming mode, I just leave it on. So we're actually watching your traffic to decide, is this normal internet traffic or does
you
this
can't say that
really
after
important?
the Apple News this week, dude.
We're not reporting it. So we're not reporting any of it back to us.
I'm teasing.
Like, we don't look at what sites you visit, what IP addresses you visit, what DNet, like, we toss all that, right? I don't know what you do through it. There really aren't logs.
That's cool.
But we are watching to see in real time, and we're not logging it. Like, does this look important? Does this look like a live stream? Is this RTMP, right? That's a fine hint that it's something really, really important. And then we'll prioritize that over other traffic. Like if we see RTMP, and we see you downloading a file, we make sure the RTMP wins because that's a live stream, right? If we see something that looks like a VoIP call, right? Oh, you're making a phone call. That's more important than Windows Update or, your Mac App Store updating some apps, right?
That is cool. Like, yeah, and this would be super dangerous, but it'd be super cool if it could smell. I'm live streaming and I forgot to turn off iCloud. If it could take the iCloud and just throttle it temporarily until I'm done streaming, or throttle it, Backblaze or something like that. Don't do that right now. He's busy.
Yeah. So one thing we're playing with it is right now we have the streams that are really important and everything else, and we're realizing, and it's not in there, that there's another tier of even less important.
Yeah.
right? And you know, sort of everyone's immediate, you know, some of these software updates. Yeah, I had a live streamer telling me the other day about, you know, his Adobe apps deciding to update
That's
in the middle of
exactly
his
it.
live stream.
That is
Right?
exactly it.
That is
Oh.
not important. That's less important than your web browsing, right?
Oh my! That is
we should-
exactly it. That is the number one culprit for jacking. Adobe would just be like, "Hey, good time to update this right now."
Yep. So you know, right now we prioritize the live stream above everything else, but I think we actually are supposed to deprioritize those Adobe updates to below everything else.
Oh, that is cool.
To get this perfectly right.
It's like, dude, update this at like 2 a.m. Adobe. Like, what are you doing? But I guess when they do it, they don't know it's not 2 a.m. where you are. Okay, Daniel.
They should.
You're going to get us in trouble.
And I mean,
Daniel,
they can see you're on the computer, right? I mean, they see it's unlocked and stuff.
They know.
I mean, they have so many hints.
Daniel says switch modes so that when certain apps are open, i.e. Ecamm Live, it jumps into super bonding mode enabled.
Right. So we're not watching the app you're using. We're watching the protocols. So when Ecamm Live fires up that RTMP stream, right, going off to Facebook, we're like, whoa, this is important.
That's cool.
And so we don't actually know it's Ecamm. It's funny, increasingly, so it's the same app running on, you know, the iPhone and on the Mac and on Windows. Increasingly, Apple has been cracking down on, like, they say it's none of our business which app is being run.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're sick of people, like, and we have a legitimate reason. But, you know, apparently other creepy people were writing apps to look at, like, what apps you were using and show you ads. Which we don't do.
Creepy people like Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand why Apple is cracking down and trying to protect people's privacy.
Oh, God.
I was a good guy, but so I can't actually see what app you're running anymore.
That's funny. Our guys are cracking me up in the stream right now. Daniel is saying, please make sure you push Dropbox and iCloud to the bottom of the barrel. Just drop them. And then Jim says, hey, can we just make it so it prioritizes Ecamm live streams? That's cool. Like you said, we can't tell what app, but we know the protocols. It's still absolutely funny. And, of course, Katie and Carmen was like, yeah, Ecamm live mode. So that's better. Guys, man, I got to say so much, Alex, thank you for coming today. This was super awesome.
Thank you for having me.
I knew this would melt people's faces because it melted mine, and I'm a bona fide nerd. So, like, our regular users are like, yo, I think I even understand this because it's not complicated. But it was until now, and they fixed it. Yeah. And that, my friends, is how we roll. We take complicated stuff and make it easy. Now, one thing I want to make sure that everybody remembers, please go to the link that's right up there. See, right there, it says speed. In case your speed is iffy, get Speedify. Was that a reach? Was that a super reach? If your speed is iffy, get a Speedify. Get it. Never mind. Tom Buck, take your job back. Anyway, make sure you go to Speedify, sign up. Katie will be adding it to the perks page, so in case you guys lose links or whatever.
Got a coupon.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Streaming 2021. One word, streaming 2021.
Edit this thing right here real quick. I like that. Streaming 2021. Use the promo. Don't do like
and that is 25% off any yearly or 3-year plans.
Use coupon STREAMING 2021. Bang bang. Cool. Man, Katie's faster than me. She's like much faster than me. There you go. Guys, check this out. The other cool thing, Leaped in the live stream is coming. And we got new sponsors for Leaped in the live stream we got to talk about. So, can you guys guess? If you guys guess, I'll give you a private Ecamm lesson. Oh, that's super funny. Speedify is going to be sponsoring us in the Leap, so make sure you got your tickets. You guys are not going to want to miss this. And we'll be harassing Ryan a lot, so I'll give you his private email box so you can flood him. I'm joking. Make sure you guys come and check us out at Leap. I'm going to rock the Siri. Don't you say anything. The little baseball over here, it just popped up. and it starts trying to talk in the middle of the stream like every time. This is like the first day it didn't just start randomly saying things and everybody laughs at me when we do this. So here we go. It's Speedify, not Speed Iffy, Keely. That was a dumb doc joke. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to roll the lead promo and then we're out of here. But this has been fantastic. I can't tell you.
Thank you for having me.
I will be pressing all the buttons and trying to break stuff. So sorry. That's just how I am. But I know, look, Daniel already bought it. I knew he was down. Daniel's one of our moderators in the group. And then if you guys need anything from us at Ecamm, you let us know so we can make sure you're not playing around with OBS. I'm just saying, we'll get you straightened out.
I love Ecamm, man. It's just
fun,
such
right?
Fantastic software. But I guess everybody here knows that, so I don't need to rant about that.
All right, gang. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I'm going to go back to enjoy the rest of my day off. I don't know why Katie was like, Doc, why are you doing that stream on Thursday? That's okay, because this is when Alex wanted to do it, so I'm here. So I'll see you guys around. I'll see you soon. We have more classes coming up. Don't forget the demo tomorrow. If you want to come by, it'll basically be at 2 p.m. Eastern. My Eastern time always gets messed up. I'll be doing a full demo of Ecamm Live. We'll walk you through all of the buttons, show you all the cool stuff. So make sure you come and check out the demo. And just a reminder, make sure you get your tickets to Elite.
Are you ready to take your content to the next level? The live streaming market is booming, but with so many options out there, it's hard to know where to start. You've heard about doing live video and other video content on platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook, but you're not sure how to make the most of this or how this is going to help you with your business. You're not sure if creating a YouTube channel is going to help you get more customers or it's just a waste of your time. We will walk you through everything you need to succeed in live video with this 4-day immersive virtual bootcamp. We've got all bases covered, from choosing the right platform for your needs, planning an event, recording epic video content and editing it into something awesome, scheduling posts on social media, promoting your videos, and monetizing them effectively. This course is designed for everyone from total beginners who are just getting started in live streaming to those who want to grow their visibility and increase business by creating more valuable content. Leap into live streaming virtual bootcamp.